And what were you planning to do if you weren't a musician?
Well, my first job in that town, I ran a fence company with my dad. You know, we built fences in people's backyards. Well, I should say he ran a fence company with me. I was his employee, you know. And that's what we did. We dug holes and built fences for folks. And after 20 plus years, he was done with it and decided to become a mailman and just sort of take it easy a little bit. And so I don't know what I would have become if I'd have stayed, you know. I'd like to think that I would still ended up some sort of writer or even working somehow in the music world. You know, our community back in Virginia did have a nice music and theater program, you know, so who knows. I like to think I'd still been involved in the arts somehow, but I don't know, because I never had a plan B for that town. I knew that I was going to be a child of the world, so.
When did you know?
When did I know?
Yeah. When did you first know?
I figured it out when I was in high school. You know, we.
Do you know when? What was there one
there
specific moment?
There wasn't one.
Bulb?
No, there wasn't one particular moment, but there were. You know, every year in high school we got to take great trips, like field trips, and we got to go to Canada. We got to go down to New Orleans, and we got to go to New York City. And it might have been the trip to New York City where I was like, "Whoa, this place is great." And then my senior year of high school, I took my own personal trip to New York, where I spent a week there, and I rode my rollerblades all over town. And just for the first time, I was sort of free in this big, wild, magical world. And I thought, I want to come here. I want to come to places like this. And so I went to New York immediately after high school and sort of immersed myself in the culture up there. And it was actually in New York that the light bulb went out, that I said, okay, I'm not meant to live in New York, but I'm not meant to live in Virginia either.
How come you knew you weren't meant to live in? Because you studied musical theater?
Yeah, I went to New York to study musical theater, and right away I realized, okay, I don't want to have a career in musical theater because it's a business of competition, and it's a business of auditioning. The act of being in a musical is the smallest aspect of having that career, because your show could last 6 weeks, 6 years, but then you're back to auditioning again, you know, and I wasn't prepared to do that, to compete for a chance to sing. I said, I'm gonna write my own musicals, I'm gonna sing my own stories and be my own show. And it was then I realized, okay, so New York isn't the place to get this started because it's way too expensive and it's way too distracting. So I'll go back to Virginia for a limited time, knowing that I'm just going home to work on my skills and to figure out a plan, pretty much. And that's what I did. I sort of hid away in Virginia for about 3 years before I packed up my car and just said, it's time. It's time to see what the world has for me. I'm not sure where it's going to be, but I'm off.
When did you know it was the time?
It was February of 1999, and I heard this voice in my head that said, go right now. Get in your car and go now. And I just started college, and I was in Virginia. I was like, wait, but I've just enrolled in school. Like, I have all this money invested in school, and I'm going to put my time in school now. This is some harebrained idea I had about going back to college. And the voice wouldn't shut up. It was like, no, you need to get in your car and go now. Take your college money and go. So I went to the bank, and I cashed my student loan check, and I took all this cash, and I got in my truck, and I just left. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anybody. I said, I'm just going to take a trip. You know, I'll be back in about a week. And I went to California and never came back. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know why. I mean, I was crying the whole way. I was like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. I get to California, I'm like, great, now I'm here. What the hell am I going to do? You know, I've just dropped everything. You know, I'm running out of money already. And but I realized that voice was all because everything was happening, and I was tapped into something that was making sure I got there on time. Because honestly, it was only about 3 or 4 weeks after I arrived in California that I met so many great people involved in the music scene that I was able to immediately start playing and working in the local music community of San Diego. And so within 4 weeks, I went from not knowing what I was doing in Virginia in this dorm room, college atmosphere, to crossing the country and being involved in a music community